So I want to talk about something that I go through a lot every time this time of year. Something that I've struggled with probably ever since I became a father. Really, um, I haven't really lived with my kids on a consistent basis since my son was about like one and a half, maybe two. Um, I never lived with my ex when I had my middle child. And when I had my youngest, um, we lived together for about a year afterwards. So I haven't exactly had the best track record over the last 9 years of working things out with the moms. I was married for about 9 years before my ex-wife and I had trouble, and then that all the things that I experienced with her just really carried over into the next relationship and never really healed from. I didn't really get better. It took a long time for me to get to a better place, but uh, even though I'm there and living a life for my kids, it took a long time to get there, and I haven't always been there. And even right now, I'm still struggling with these same thoughts I felt over years and years and years. And that is like especially around holidays and Christmas when they're at their most excited. They are the most engaged with what they're doing. I haven't been around, and it's not that I'm not available. It's that through breakups and divorce, you're simply given away your right to be there all the time. That's kind of something that you forfeit when you get a divorce. And it's something that doesn't really get talked about a lot. And it's something that I had wished that I had known on a better way when all this was happening, because I probably would have made different choices. I would have probably tried to work things out with my exes. Had I really known what I was missing. And that's one reason I want to do the show, because even though we're dad rights activists, we'll call it, we care about that. I really care about preserving the home as is. Anybody I talk to that's going through a divorce or a breakup, I'm always telling them not to. I don't think it's the right thing to do. I think it's something, looking back on it, is quite selfish. You think, I mean, obviously, I think there's reasons that relationships don't work out, and you're not responsible for that in terms of guilt. But I do think that most men, if they really knew what they were going to lose in this, they'd try to work it out. They'd be more diligent. And I understand that, like, I got, my divorce is a result of my ex-wife having an affair. That was something very difficult for me to forgive. It took years and years and years to get over that. And I brought that into my next relationship where I didn't feel ever good enough. When someone does that to you, you just don't feel good enough. You don't feel like you've you're worth it for anybody. And that spills over into your parenting time too. So when I got divorced or moved out from my exes, I didn't have a lot of money. So I was like constantly transitioning, paying an incredible amount in child support. There was one time I was on the road selling cars for almost 6 months, and I'd probably see my kids out of that 6 months. We'll say 3 weekends, maybe four tops. And I just didn't feel good enough. And then when Christmas came around, and I didn't have things to get them, I didn't have a lot of money. So when I first moved back to Grand Rapids, I could not find a job. It was unemployable, basically. And I had a friend go out on a limb and try to get me a job, which she successfully did. And I worked there for over 3 years, and it worked out really, really well for me. But when I first started there, it was insurance sales. And you make a lot of your money when your policy renews and things like that. So in the beginning, I was making a little bit of money. And my rent in my apartment was about $850 a week, or a month. I'm sorry. It was a real shitty apartment in Wyoming, and I'm grateful that I had it. grateful my friend that was working for the company was able to like gloss over all of my obvious defects so that I could stay there. And I stayed there for about, we'll say right as a year. I stayed there for an entire year, and I paid the entirety of my lease, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but for me it was. But I was paying about $850 a month to live there, and the entirety of my checks that I was getting was at max $1,300 a month I was living on. So not only am I making a little bit of money, I'm not making a lot of money. I'm also don't have any extra, with gas and insurance and whatever. It just doesn't go very far. So when Christmas came around, I started to just always feel like I just wasn't good enough. I didn't get the kids enough stuff. And, I remember I spent like $300 on the three kids the first year, and I felt like, and I was buying all like $1, $5 stuff just so they'd have like a bunch of stuff to open. And then like, I didn't feel good about that, even though my kids were very happy. And then the next Christmas came, and I was living with Carolyn, and the kids had more stuff, because I had someone that would help share costs and expenses, and I didn't have to pay rent anymore because I was commuting. But the commuting was probably about $500 a month in gas anyway. But it's gotten to this point where it's no longer about the gifts that I'm getting the kids, because like this year, the five of us exchange names, and we do like a secret Santa, and they all get like $140 to buy stuff for each other, and it's a lot of money, for me anyway, to spend on them, and I feel good about that. But I still don't feel good about all this time that I'm missing. I don't feel good about, yeah, I'm gonna have my kids the day after Christmas, and then we're gonna, go visit my parents. I don't feel good enough as a parent because I quit too early in the relationship. And I know that it's tough, and I know that it weighs on you, and you're just like, man, I could be treated better, and I could do this better, and I could be with someone that appreciates who I am. And I have like every single one of those things with my partner right now. I am treated better. I am appreciated. She does believe in me and my ability to do things and to be a contributing member, not just of the family, but in society. And I have all of those things that I absolutely love, but I still don't feel good enough because I didn't do the hard stuff. I didn't stay when I walked away. And it's something that weighs heavily, more so this time of year than any time else, because it's a tough thing to have to do to the kids, splitting time. It's they wake up Christmas morning or on Thanksgiving, and they're thinking about the other parent too. They're not just thinking about themselves, I hope. I know that we try to encourage them to like call their parents when we have them on those days, but they don't do that with me. So it's just tough, and you don't really, when you're going through the process of a divorce or a breakup, you don't really think about all the things that you're going to be missing. You're just thinking about what you're going to be gaining from it. And I just want to tell people, anyone that listens to this, if anyone listens to this, that the things that you're going to give up are worth fighting for a little bit longer. They're worth going to counseling for. They're worth having fights for. It's something that you can't get back. You can't get back your broken home. It's very tough to put that back together. So I just want to encourage people, especially this time of year, things are stressful. Just make sure that you're spending a little extra time not giving up. You're working a little harder at making it work, because once you go down the path of giving up, it's really hard to get that back. And as someone who's incredibly happy in my relationship now and feels supported, I still do miss my kids, and I still do wish I could spend that time with them, and I wish I had fought harder. I don't know if the outcome would have been different, but I know that I didn't have a harder forgiveness towards my ex. I wanted to punish her. I wanted to hate her. and I wanted other people to hate her for me. And now that I'm past that, I can't imagine not, if I had worked at it, not being able to do that. I mean, obviously it's 10 years later, right? I'm more mature, probably. But the idea is, if you work hard on something, there's fruits to be bared from that. And you can't receive any gifts in life without putting in the work. And I wish I had put the work in before, so that I wouldn't be doing this podcast talking about how tough it is to be a single dad, how the system is pitted against you to make you feel this way. I'm told I'm not a good enough of a parent or a dad because I don't pay enough in child support. I don't make enough money to cover my child support right now. My $1,900 a month is what I'm supposed to be paying in the middle of COVID, when jobs were shut down. I lost my job and can't get rehired at a place that would pay me anywhere near what I was making before. I'm told I'm not good enough. I'm not the right person. I mean, front of the court worker once told me I'm better off being homeless, giving up my time to the kids to pay more in child support. I shit you not, we do not matter to the courts as dads and as people. We're simply ATMs. And if you knew that, going into your breakup or your divorce, you'd have taken a lot more time to think about that. And that's what I want you to do. If you're thinking about going to divorce and you want someone to talk to, I'm not a counselor, but I'd love to talk to you about it. I know I've talked to at least several guys that have been going through that. They usually ask for my advice about a divorce. My advice is always don't get one. Work it out. Try to see what can be salvaged there and work on that. So, thanks for listening, and make sure you subscribe to the pod.